Hello, my name is Tiana and I'm going to talk a little bit about grades which are found under site administration. Grades are an important part of any course because they show the user and the course organizer the progress, the quality of progress, how much attendees have actually advanced through the course, whether they learned something and how well they have learned something. So here we have grades to show that, but when we are on the other side of the screen, when we have the role of a manager of a course, we have to be very precise about how we define grades, how we organize settings, what kind of adjustments we need to prepare in order to things go smoothly when we talk about grades. So here under site administration we have this part grades, and under grades we have several things to explore. First, let's go to general settings. Okay, so first of all we have here a list of a number of roles who can control who appears in the gradebook, and we have to mark at least one of the roles so to know what who can see and who looks at the grades. So also whether we will allow student, a manager, or different roles to be able to monitor the grades. Then we also have here user profile report, which says that the grade report will be included in the user profile page. We also can choose aggregation position, so that means which column will the category of grades have in the gradebook report, whether they will be first or last. Here we have only two options. With the other things we always have those arrows and we can decide whether we can change, but as we can see here next to the box it says default, so it was defined by admin. And we can also here whether we will include skills aggregation, and if we have any doubts we can always read the description and explanation which refers to each particular item. So we can have a lot of things to check, whether we will have show submitted date for hidden grades. So in some cases if the grades are not displayed for the student or the user, but still with this adjustment the user can see the date when the grade was given. Then we can have option to make grade publishing available or not when the manager of the course or administrator are not, or user are not logged into the Moodle. We also have different options to select, whether we will include feedback while exporting the grades, what type of display the grades will be, whether they will be as numbers or letters or percentages. All of these things we have in these explanations next to the boxes or the items we have to select. Again, decimal places we can have in the grades, whether the grade export user profile fields would be, what actually these profile fields would be. So if they include first name, last name, ID number, institution, department, email, in that case these details are separated by commas. Then we also can have interesting feature, recover grades default. So basically if a person has stopped attending the course and then got back and re-enrolled, so the previous grades could be displayed that way. And also we can select the method of exporting the grades in case we do it. When it comes to grades, we can also select whether the grades are limited to a certain value, and we have to set the maximum or minimum value of the grades, or we can have them unlimited, which doesn't seem very practical from my point of view. Or we can also decide whether we will show minimum grade and whether it will be calculated in the mean value. Also, we can set that minimum grade is 0, and whatever is default, then it cannot be edited. Grade maximum point, grade point maximum, which in this case is 100, and we can also decide whether we will use minimum and maximum grades when calculating the mean values or average values. And there is also note in many cases that when exporting, certain things can be overridden, and the important thing, whatever we decide to do, is that we always have to click on Save Changes. Otherwise, the selected options won't be applied to the grading process. So this is just one section. It is the first of several items. We need to go back, and then we have grade category settings. So if we go there, we see the way how we can aggregate things, whether they're forced, advanced, or natural, and we can click here to see what are the options. Besides, we also have the explanation for each of them. We additionally have the available aggregation types here with the one which is selected above marked. So if we have any doubts, we see what is selected. Then we have a number of options. Whether we want how we treat empty grades, which means boxes where the grade is not inserted, maybe because the assignment submission hasn't been done, or the result of the quiz have not been inserted yet, and or the quiz hasn't been attempted. Also, we can decide whether certain values could, what would be the value of certain grades, 0 to 100. Then we can also decide whether we will keep the highest grade when calculating the average grade, whether we will drop the lowest, and whether we will allow to manually override certain categories. And again, we need to save changes at the end of the process. Then if we go and check what is the next in the category grades, we have grade item settings. A lot of settings here. So we can decide whether we will use letters or percentages or real numbers for grades. Whether we will use decimal numbers, how many positions we will have, and again we have here all the options available with explanation below. And again, when we select what we want, we need to save changes. Then let's go see what is the next one. We have scales. So scales refer to the way how we evaluate somebody's knowledge. Here it says use no, but if we want to check how what we will see, what are these suggestions, we can read here the explanation. Name separate or connected ways of knowing, and then we have quite elaborate explanation for this type of scale. Or we can go and check the next one. So this means default competence scale, so we have just two options, whether user or attendee of the course simply demonstrate proficiency or not, without any additional information. Then we go to letters. If we use letters for grades, then we have here the scale, how the values of each letter, how much success a user has to have in order to receive such a letter. But if we want to change these values, we go to edit and then we make changes. And of course, as with anything, we go to save changes, and then what we selected will stay permanent. And then let's see if we have anything else. That would be all for grades. Report setting will be explained in the next video. I hope this was useful and practical. Thank you for listening.